I'm ready for whatever coach decides. If we want to kick the field goal, I believe we have one of the best kickers in the league. So I'm going to give him the chance to kick the field goal. And if coach wants to go for it, I believe that we can make it happen as an offense. So whatever coach decides, I know he's been in these moments before. I'm going to trust in that. And we went with the field goal, and it didn't go our way this time.
Did you try to do any persuasion or anything in that moment?
The persuasion is just kind of you stay out there and just hope that he calls it. Get the fourth down chance. But we had gone through a lot of fourth downs throughout the game, and they were doing a good job. I mean, even we had hard-fought ones, but we were converting them. But, I mean, we paid Bucker, and we have one of the best kickers in the league, so we trust in him in those moments, and he's made a lot of big kicks. So this one didn't go our way, but if we're in that moment again, I trust he'll make it.
Patrick, what did you try to get across to Travis after the fumble? I'm sure you had words of encouragement for him.
Yeah, I mean, I just tell him to continue to be himself. I mean, we've seen Travis do that many of times and get all those extra yards, which are hard-fought yards in this league. And obviously they made a good play. They stripped the ball out right at the very end there. But I'm taking Travis fighting for extra yards every single time because that's the type of competitor that he is.
Did you have to pick him up at all, did you feel like, or you knew he'd be?
No, I didn't. I just tried to get the ball to him as quickly as possible after that. So we trust in him, man. He's a competitor. He's the reason that we're playing. We play in these big games like this, and so he's going to go down fighting. So we're going to keep giving him chances to make plays.
Patrick, you haven't been able to beat this team yet. What is it about this team that makes them so tough?
Yeah, I mean, first off, they got a great quarterback, a guy that's won a lot of football games. Even though if it was in college, he's won a lot of football games now in the NFL. He's someone that competes to the very end too. They got playmakers all over there. They're well coached, have a good defense, and at the end of the day, they've executed at a higher level in the critical situations. And so we started off slow. We got back in the game, in the flow of things, and then we had a turnover late, and then the missed kick. So I mean, if you just try to take away those two things in the fourth quarter, I mean, if you're playing good teams, you make those turnover on downs basically in the fourth quarter. Those are the things that kind of bite you at the end.
You've been successful throughout your career against good teams. But what is it that they do on the defensive side that's so much better?
Yeah, they just have a well put together team. I mean, you saw the offense, even though it's kind of like has the playmakers, but they'll take their time and kind of utilize the clock. Their defense does a lot of different. They change up a lot of different coverages. They do a good job. They try to take Travis away as best as possible. That's why you saw other guys making catches. And I mean, I feel like we executed at a high level, except for the 1 3-and-out drive. But it wasn't high enough because we didn't win. So we just got to go back, look at the film, and just try to get better from this game.
As far as the injuries go, Pat hurt his foot there at the end, but it looks like he's going to be okay. Look, a hard-fought game. The Bengals did a nice job, and coming down the stretch, you can't turn the ball over against a good team, and you surely can't miss a field goal. But there was a lot of things in between that we could have done better, and so we'll go back and we'll work on it and make sure that we learn from it and try to become a better team. So with that, time's yours.
And the decision to kick instead of leaving the offense on the field, just go through that.
Yeah, very similar to what we've done before, and that's within his range. We've got to get that combination, the snap a little higher and the kick a little stronger, and you got a good thing going, but it didn't happen. Yeah.
And one of the things that you got to make a decision in such a split second, but is that one where you weigh pretty heavily or consider pretty strongly to keep the offense on the field?
Well, if I don't think he can make it, then I'm not going to do it. It's pretty simple that way. So, but I felt like he was, he's been in a good place, and we just got to execute it better all the way around. So, and then we shouldn't really come down to that too, but it did. And we got to make sure we do it. If you're going to be a good football team, all phases got to be able to take care of business.
Andy, how would you assess those trying to tackle the Bengals skill position players and how much that
I didn't think we tackled as well as we had been. We can do a better job with that. That's something we'll look at on tape and get fixed. It was the same way the offensive side. We can block better.
Hey, it's SportsBeat Live, where we talk Chiefs, and it's a post-game show edition. Chiefs lost to the Cincinnati Bengals 27-24 tonight. And I don't know when you joined us. If you just joined us, thank you. If you joined us a little earlier, you might have heard Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in their post-game press conference. I appreciate our producer, George Howard, putting that together. And
Forget something.
and I have I didn't get to hear the Mahomes or Andy Reid after the game, so that was interesting to me. We have Sam McDowell and Herbie Teope here. Jesse Newell will join us in a minute. I think Vahe Gregorian is going to be here as well. They're all in Cincinnati, and we want you to join us. Please send us your questions and comments, and we'll get to them as we see them. So, yeah, not hearing Andy Reid, I was wondering how long it would take for someone to ask him about the decision to kick a field goal on the 55-yard field goal attempt that Harrison Butker missed. And it turns out didn't take long at all because Sam asked it right off the bat. I had the same question, Sam, as soon as they brought the field goal unit on the team. And Sam will be joining us here in a minute or so. I guess we're having a little technical difficulty with the guys. But Herbie, did you guys talk about it among yourselves in the press box when the Chiefs decided to go for the field goal on 4th and 5 with about 3.5 minutes to go, with the Bengals leading 27-24? What was your reaction? All right. Hey, George. We having technical difficulties here with everybody. If so, I will. Okay. So maybe we'll try to get our guys in Cincinnati back on with us as soon as we can. We've got Sam and Herbie, Jesse, Vahe, all in Cincinnati, who covered the Bengals 27-24 victory over the Chiefs. A rough game for Kansas City. They dropped to 9-3 and fell from in the playoff picture, fell from the number 1 seed to number 2 because they now have the same record as the Buffalo Bills. And Buffalo, of course, holds the tiebreaker over Kansas City with the head-to-head victory at Arrowhead earlier this year. And we're going to start off talking about the decision that Andy Reid made to attempt a field goal. It turns out to be a 55-yard field goal attempt with 3:24 left to play. Bengals leading 27-24. If Harrison Butker makes it, they tie the game up. And at that point, I don't know. I'm thinking that there's no way to stop Cincinnati from advancing and getting at least a field goal to go ahead with just about the amount of time you'd need to run the entire clock at that point. But the Chiefs put the field goal unit on. Harrison Butker pushes it to the right. Didn't look like a great snap. And the Bengals maintained the lead and then ran out the clock. So we were that to me is just one of the issues that the Chiefs had in the game. One of several that caused this that caused this outcome. So let's do this. Let's take some questions as we try to get our guys from Cincinnati back on the air. They've got a lot to say and a lot to talk about with this game. So Paul says worst tackling effort of the season, and the game they circled, they just seemed to be a bit emotionless. I had the same reaction. I remember thinking going into this game that this is one that the Chiefs talked about a lot during training camp, and of course comments this week from the Chiefs at practice was this was a game that they had circled, and then they came out somewhat flat, right? They fell down 14-3, but when they started to battle back, got the touchdown, to make the touchdown pass to Jerick McKinnon to make it 14-10. had the huge play from Carlos Dunlap just before the end of the first half. I thought this was a critical moment for the Chiefs, that the game turned. I know that Jim Nantz and Tony Romo said something about it on the air, and I had the same feeling. You remember when Tyreek Hill could not get into the end zone at the end of the first half of the AFC title game, and how that sort of prevented the Chiefs from getting a touchdown and extending the lead. I think it was 21-10 at the time. Well, I kind of had a similar feeling when Carlos Dunlap made the play on Taylor, the wide receiver, on the 4th and 1, preventing Cincinnati from getting into the end zone. I thought, boy, this feels like that. And let's see if the Chiefs, who got the ball to start the second half, can take advantage of the momentum. And sure enough, they do. They get the Isaiah Pacheco long kickoff return. They go down and get the touchdown to go ahead. And momentum clearly was with the Chiefs' favor. It continued to be the Patrick Mahomes touchdown run from 2 yards out. Wow. I mean, so guts. We talk about how we don't see. We're not going to see a quarterback sneak from Mahomes because of the knee injury he suffered on that play a couple of years ago at Denver, but he sure showed a lot of guts running. Keeping the ball, going into the end zone, leaving his feet to go in and getting the ball over the goal line. I thought that was a tremendous play by Mahomes. And again, momentum clearly on the Chiefs' side here, and it stayed with the Chiefs up until the moment Travis Kelce fumbled the ball, had it stripped away after I think it was a 19-yard gain, and a just total disaster for the Chiefs. Kelce, it's funny. He had a bit of a fumble problem early in his career. I can remember the first couple of years with the Chiefs. He had a tendency to have the ball pulled away from him, and it's something that he worked on and improved, and became, helped him become one of the top tight ends in all of the NFL, if not the best tight end. And there it goes. Having the ball pulled away from him. Bengals took full advantage of that and regained the lead. Got a field goal, regained the lead, scored the game's final 10 points, and got the victory. So Jamie says lack of pass rush was evident again. Absolutely, it was. I disappointed in the Chiefs up front in this game, the defensive front. This is a going up against a Bengals offensive line that's average at best. And listen, that was the case last year with the Bengals, as they, during their Super Bowl run. This was a place where an opponent can take advantage and put pressure on Joe Burrow. And the Chiefs hardly did that today. They got the one sack late in the game. Karlaftis got the sack on a really, I thought ill-advised play by Joe Burrow when he went down. This is right around the 2-minute warning, right? And basically took a sack. And it set up the 3rd and 11 that the Chiefs couldn't stop, the play that put the game on ice for Cincinnati. But, yeah, I was wondering the same thing myself. Where was the sack? Where was the pressure? How can they not bother Joe Burrow, who has these tremendous weapons to work with, and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and the tight ends who are good, and Boyd, who's a good player but dropped a short touchdown pass today. Where was the defensive pressure? At one time on that final play where they converted the 3rd and 11, looked like Mike Dana was right there. It almost didn't realize he was next to Joe Burrow when he completed the pass to, I think it was to Higgins, right, and to clinch the game. So I don't know. I'm just this was a bit of a head shaker to me. The Cincinnati Bengals are a terrific team. They deserve the win today. They played better than the Chiefs, and I think the question that we need to ask ourselves, and I know I'm pretty sure that Vahe Gregorian's writing this in the column tomorrow. We keep talking about the Buffalo Bills. I tend to talk about the Tennessee Titans as teams that the Chiefs really should fear in the postseason. No team has proven to be has more evidence of being better than the Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals. This is 3 losses to Cincinnati in 17 games for the Chiefs. They've met 3 times in the last 17 games, including the playoffs last year, and and then they've lost all three of them, all by a field goal. This one a little bit different in that the two games last year, the Chiefs took the lead, held double-digit leads, advantages on Cincinnati, and this time Chiefs gave it away. Or the Bengals took the double-digit lead. Chiefs got it back and then gave it away at the end. So let's take a few of your questions here. Brian, K-State won, so that helps a bit. Yeah, I got to cover that game, Brian. That was amazing. Amazing job by Kansas State yesterday in the Big 12 championship game. Only the fourth conference championship for the Wildcats in their history. Third Big 12 title. I'm glad you had that to help soften the blow of the football weekend. Yeah, Paul, for the talk, the Chiefs were seemingly flat, and I agree. They were flat. How about Jamar Chase early in the game getting in Justin Reed's face, that and giving him the money hand gesture. Jamar Chase, of course, got a penalty for the taunting penalty for that, but you could tell that maybe Cincinnati had a little more of an emotional edge in this game today. I thought they were they certainly were ready to play the way that they came out. Just a really good effort all around by the Bengals. So, all right, Herbie, can you hear me?
I got you. You got me?
Yeah, man. Yeah, good to see you. Been muddling along here for a little bit, but hey, a couple of the topics that we covered, Herbie. I started with the decision by Andy Reid to kick the field goal. Bengals were leading 27-24, 3.5 minutes to go. The Chiefs could not pick up the first down, so Andy Reid sends the field goal unit on, and Harrison Butker from 55 yards pushes it a little bit to the right. It looked like not a bad snap, but a low snap. A little bit of a problem with the whole operation. But in my opinion, it's 4th and 5, and you've got Patrick Mahomes, and I have no faith that the Chiefs are going to stop Cincinnati, even if they make the field goal there from getting into field goal range for McPherson, who's a terrific kicker for the Bengals. Did you guys look at each other in the press box and wonder if Andy was making the right call there?
We kind of did, because the way the game was going, obviously it was going to come down to whoever had the ball last. But Andy Reid addressed that after the game. He basically said if he didn't feel like Butker could make that, then he's not going to try that field goal. And let's face it, 55 yards is a chip shot for Butker. It should be typically a chip shot for him, but when you push it wide right, and then Murphy's Law, once again, that when the Chiefs lose, it's Murphy's Law. Everything that could go wrong will go wrong. And one of the league's best kickers from long distance pushes it wide right. And next thing you know, there's not enough time left on the clock for the Chiefs. And then the Bengals were able to get the first down and essentially just run out the clock the rest of the way.
Yeah, they couldn't get the stop after that. And I to be honest with you, Herbie, I didn't think the Chiefs tackled especially well today. Look, I know Samaje Perine is a load to bring down. He is just a tough runner. 106 yards today, averaged 5 yards per carry. But I just didn't think it was a great tackling day for the Chiefs. On the other hand, I thought the Chiefs ran the ball well. The best grade that I gave the Chiefs today was in their rushing offense. I thought Andy Reid called a good game overall. Sticking to the running attack. This wasn't a Patrick Mahomes 300-yard passing game. He had 6 in a row of those, but the Bengals don't give up a lot of passing yards. I don't think they've given up 300 yards passing in a game this season. But I thought the Chiefs did what they needed to do to move the ball. That Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon, I thought, had a really nice game. In the end, it wasn't enough, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't. When you talk about that running game, 138 yards rushing, and the Chiefs' running game has been coming on in recent weeks. I'll say this about Pacheco: 198 all-purpose yards. What a wasted effort! It's like in a losing cause. But it does offer you some optimism, because you are going to need that running game in January. In the playoffs, and of course now obviously the number 1 seed right now is. Here we go again. They're tied with Buffalo with what, 5 games to go, so 5 or 6 games to go, and so now you find yourself scoreboard watching the rest of the way. But I tend to agree with you. When you push out 138 yards rushing and Mahomes doesn't have a Mahomes type game, But this was a winnable game. But the Bengals, for some reason or another, they do have the Chiefs number. When you look across the board, they match up really well against the Chiefs, sort of like the Buffalo Bills. But when you win 3 in a row against the Chiefs, for the Bengals, that's a tremendous confidence booster.
Yeah, it's not a fluke when it's 3 in a row, is it? I mean, it's I think Vahe's writing this. The Chiefs have to tell themselves they're looking up to the Bengals, and until they prove they can beat them, the Bengals are the better team. I don't care where and the Bengals have proved. Doesn't matter where they play, whether it's here in Kansas City or in Cincinnati. They're 3-17 games is what they've, because it was week 16 last year and then the playoffs and then week 12 this year for a Cincinnati victory. Kathy says she wasn't impressed with the offense either. I wasn't at all, but that's just how it is with when it comes to Chiefs against the Bengals. I think it was 34-31 was the final in the regular season last year, and then 27-24 twice the last 2 games. Bengals against the Chiefs. Chiefs had about 350 yards of total offense, and Gabe says he asks, "Is this a Super Bowl team?" I don't know, Herbie. I'll tell you. To me, the question is this the best team in the AFC? What do you think now?
And that's a fair question. I don't know is it a Super Bowl team? You get through the AFC because let's face it, the AFC is top heavy. When you look across the board, the Bills are legit. The Dolphins, I believe they lost to the 49ers, but they still got a pretty potent team. The Bengals, we see what they are with Jamar Chase. They haven't had him for the last 4 games, but we see how dangerous they can be. And they played without Joe Mixon today. The Chargers, if they ever get healthy, they're a team that you have to watch out for. But I still think this is a Super Bowl caliber team. Obviously, it's a Super Bowl caliber team. But you want that number 1 seed. You want the bye week. You want the AFC to come through Arrowhead. That's what you want. But right now, we're going to be scoreboard watching to see what the Bills do the rest of the way.
Absolutely. So Brian asks if Joe Thuney would have made a difference in protection today. I think he would have. Obviously you're a better team with Joe Thuney than you are without Joe Thuney. But I didn't think Nick Allegretti played poorly, and it should be noted, on the Mahomes touchdown, that everybody seemed to wonder whether it was a fumble or not. Of course, it was ruled not a fumble. Allegretti was the person that ended up with the ball, so the Chiefs would have had a touchdown either way with that. I don't think you guys weren't following the CBS coverage, but seems like Nance and Romo didn't seem to mention that the fact that Allegretti was the one that ended up with the ball. Chiefs would have had a touchdown either way. But anyway, the Chiefs without Joe Thuney, that was a little bit of a surprise, wasn't it? That he did not play today.
Yeah, because remember, he put in a full practice all week. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, put in a full practice, did not have a game designation on Friday's official injury report. And then all of a sudden on Saturday, the Chiefs listed him as questionable. What probably happened, because every Saturday before the team travels, they go through a walkthrough. So, if he suffered a setback, it came during Saturday's walkthrough before they boarded the plane to come out here. But, by all accounts, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, remember, I specifically asked Andy Reid on Friday, what's the status with Thornhill and Thuney? And he's like, yeah, they're good to go.
Yeah, so a bit of a surprise. Also, Herbie and Mrs. Listen, I'll admit that I hadn't been paying 100% attention to Chiefs offensive line moves in the last couple weeks, but was this Lucas Niang's first action today in a while? When I saw him on the field, I went, wow, I hadn't seen that this year.
Yeah, this was his first offensive snap. Last week was his first game back since coming off of the physically unable to perform list, and he only played on special teams. So this time around, they got him in on the snap. It was a jumbo package, but, good for him to get in there, to at least get in there with the offense.
Yeah, for sure. So Brian asked or says, and I think this is a good point too. He thought the Chiefs were impacted by Juju Smith-Schuster leaving. It looks like he left the game with maybe a concussion. He went to the tent sometime in the second. I believe it was the second quarter after the big 4th down reception he made, and took a weapon off the field for the Chiefs. Did Andy say anything about Juju after the game?
No, they didn't, because they didn't need to, because once he came out of the blue medical tent, he had his helmet with him, and he was on the sideline with his teammates, and he did get in on the next offensive series. He actually stood outside of the tent. I was watching it when, if you remember when Marquez Valdez-Scantling dropped the ball in the end zone, Juju was actually watching that play. And then when a few plays later, when Mahomes found Jerick McKinnon for the touchdown, Juju was standing out there outside the tent cheering on. So no problems with him.
Okay. I just don't remember him being targeted after that.
Yeah, he was on, but he wasn't, but he was on the field.
Okay. Okay. I was Valdez-Scantling. That was a bad drop, but the Chiefs ended up getting a touchdown on. That was the McKinnon, touchdown reception in the end zone. I believe I'm right about that. Wasn't that on the same series? Maybe the next play or two. But listen, I thought he had a terrific day. Actually, I thought maybe this was one of McKinnon's best days. And did a third running back get on the field today for the Chiefs, or was it just Pacheco and McKinnon?
I think it was Pacheco McKinnon. I saw Jones in there as well. Jones didn't record any carries though, but he was on a couple of plays.
Okay. So Cody says Burrow had all day to throw the ball. No surprise on the loss. Spag needs to be let go after the season. Yeah, look at that. There's going to be some of that out there. People absolutely not happy with this outcome. And I don't think the defense was Bob Sutton bad, but it's frustrating sometimes to watch the teams like the Bengals move the balls effectively against the Chiefs as they were able to do. But Herbie, I'm still convinced that if the Chiefs were leading 24-20 and had the ball early in the fourth quarter, the Bengals were down 24-17, ended up the Chiefs held them to a field goal, and I thought that was a win for the Chiefs. Chiefs get it back up 4, and if they get a touchdown there, the game is over. The Chiefs win this game. And Kelsey gets the ball pulled from him.
Yeah.
Gets the ball pulled out of his arms. They had to go to the replay several times to see if his shin got down before the ball came out. It was obvious that was not the case. Did Kelsey, was he available in the locker room after the game? Anybody get over to him?
That's a big negative, Ghost Rider. He was in the locker room, though, but did he address the media? No.
Okay. I thought maybe he would. He's a veteran, but he had to feel terrible about this. I know that Mahomes went right to him on the first play afterwards. The Chiefs tend to do that, right? Sky Moore muffs a punt. They go to him right after that. First time they have an opportunity to do that. But anyway. Hey, so Brian makes another good point. As Joshua Williams surpassed Jalen Watson in the pecking order of cornerbacks.
I tend to think he did. Over the last few weeks, you're starting to see Joshua Williams' snap counts just go up and up and up. Meanwhile, Jalen Watson's snap counts are going down. So, yes, and this is kind of something that you saw some of this early stages of training camp where Williams, a fourth-round draft pick, was getting more reps than Jalen Watson, and then they switched to Watson. But now Williams is starting to come on. Look, the kid's got game. Williams has game. For a Division II player, he's got some game.
He does, and it's asking a lot for him to stand up to Jamar Chase. And look, and Higgins, these are really excellent, maybe the best pair of wide receivers in the AFC anyway. It's tough asking rookies to go up against them. And look, am I wrong about this, Herbie, that it seems to me that when the Chiefs made some draft decisions with big body cornerbacks, they did that with the Bengals in mind because of what the Bengals did to them. Those two wide receivers last season, the Chiefs knew they had to get bigger and more physical at that position. And look, they're rookies, and I know we're late in the season, and they say in college you're not a freshman after half a season or anything, but look, they're still rookies going against the very best in the game, and I'm not pinning this one on the rookies. So anyway, tough game all around for the Chiefs defense. So hey, Gabe, that's a good question. Why not have Snead on Chase? That's a very good question. Maybe if we get Herbie back, we'll address that. And there he is. All right, Herbie. So Gabe asks, why not have Snead on Jamar Chase?
And that's a fair question as well. I think that when the Chiefs go to nickel, You got to remember when they go to nickel, you got Trent McDuffie and Joshua Williams on the boundary, and then you put Snead in the slot, so he's always typically up against the nickel cornerback. But that would be a premier matchup, and I was curious coming into this game if they were going to have a cornerback travel wherever Jamar Chase went, and I figured if they were going to do that, it would be Snead. I mean, 2 Louisiana guys, both of them lightning fast, and I don't know if the TV camera showed it, but in between every play, those two were chatting it up.
Oh, wow.
They weren't. It wasn't anything confrontational. It was like just two guys who seemed to know each other and being friendly with each other, cordial with each other. But that would have been a phenomenal matchup to watch Snead, because Snead to me is, even though McDuffie has the first round caliber, Snead to me is their best cornerback.
I agree. I think Snead I think he's an outstanding player. Look, what did you guys in the press box think of the McDuffie defensive, the pass interference on the Juan Thornhill interception?
Yeah, I thought that was brutal. I don't know what in the world the refs were looking at there. It looked like, if anything, McDuffie was the one who slipped. And I don't, if that's pass interference, first off, we don't know what a catch is in the NFL. We don't know what roughing the passer is, and now we're going to go start wondering, well, what in the world is pass interference? I didn't see any pass interference there at all. I don't know what the broadcast was saying, but I hope they brought in their NFL official, and he agreed that just couldn't be pass interference.
It was mentioned, and it was kind of described as a little bit of a ticky-tack call, but they seem to be more upset at the Stallworth roughing the passer. I think on the same, maybe the very next play, right? On
same series, yep.
Yeah, and I agree. I didn't think that was roughing. I don't know what Stallworth was supposed to do, as he was falling on Burrow after the hit, but they seem to be more upset with that. But the DPI that wiped off the interception, the Thornhill interception, that was critical. I mean, that could have changed the momentum of the game. Then I think the Burrow doesn't throw picks, right? That was a hell of a stat. I didn't realize it. He has, maybe somebody who has more info on this can help me here, but he's got 4 picks this year, and they all came in the same game against the Steelers in the opener. So that's amazing. If they could have gotten a pick on Burrow early in the game like that, I think that could have been a big momentum swing early. So full of turning points, right? Someone asked about turning points of the game. I thought, again, for the Chiefs, the very first one was the Carlos Dunlap play at the end of the first half. That was a heck of a look. He came unblocked and did what he was supposed to do, but it was, I thought, a terrible call by Zach Taylor in the Bengals to run wide on 4th and 1 when they were having success, pushing the Chiefs. But then so the game went the Chiefs' way until the Kelsey fumble. So that to me were the two turning points of the game. Dunlap changes the momentum for the Chiefs. Kelsey gives it back in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. Mahomes' Michael Jordan-like tomahawk slam dunk did not count. Wasn't the game-winning play, because that would have been everybody's lead. Just think about it. That's like Jordan willing the Bulls to win. That would have been like Mahomes skyrocketing and dunking on the bench.
I know.
It's just unfortunate it didn't hold up.
Hey, Kathy asks if there's any truth to the rumor that Kelsey was dealing with the flu. Had you heard that?
I have not heard that. No, I haven't heard that.
I didn't hear that. I hope Kelsey and every other Chief got a flu shot at some point in the last, in the last few weeks, last couple of months, as it is flu season. So, okay, I didn't hear that either. So, all right, listen, you guys have been great. Had a lot of technical difficulties tonight, so we could not hear from Sam McDowell and Vahe Gregorian and Jesse Newell. But Herbie Teope was terrific to scramble and find a spot where he could join us. Herbie, thanks a lot for co-hosting today's show, and George Howard, the Tennessee Titan fans. George loves the Titans, and he had a rough day today too. So,
Hey, Blair, if I may say one thing, 'cause I
yeah.
think it was Ryan who was saying, the K-State Wildcats won. That's right.
Yes,
Email, baby.
Yeah. We gave him a shout out here earlier. So yeah, it was a heck of it was, split decision weekend if you're a Kansas State / Chiefs fan. Great day Saturday for the Wildcats, and we now know bowl pairings, right? K-State against Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, and Kansas against Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl. Missouri against Wake Forest in the Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa, Florida on December 23rd. So you can read all about that in the on kansascity.com in the print editions of the Star, and all the great Chiefs coverage that these guys provide. So, Herbie, thanks a lot. George, appreciate it. And join us on Thursday where we'll set up we'll talk to the guys that weren't here today, and we'll set up Chiefs and Broncos on coming this Sunday. All right. Good night, everybody.